A clean line stretches across a navigation screen. Earth is far behind. Mars is still ahead. The spacecraft follows a path that appears calm, predictable, and correct. Nothing in that image suggests danger. The mission is called Mars Climate Orbiter. Its job is straightforward: travel to Mars, enter orbit, and begin studying the planet's atmosphere. Signals arrive from deep space. Navigation updates continue. Routine operations unfold exactly as they should. The mission looks healthy. And that is why trust matters. Not because anything appears wrong, because nothing does. Day after day, the spacecraft moves through millions of miles of empty space. Engineers receive data, update calculations, and compare the mission's progress against expectations. The trajectory line remains pointed toward Mars. Confidence becomes part of the landscape. It is so common that nobody notices it. Then a small separation appears. Not a dramatic one. On a chart, the difference looks almost insignificant. A slight disagreement between where the spacecraft is expected to be and where calculations suggest it may actually be. Small corrections are considered normal during interplanetary travel. Space is vast. Tiny adjustments happen all the time. The mission continues. Signals continue. The spacecraft continues. The concern does not look large enough to challenge the larger belief that the system is working. Yet, the image has changed. Where there was once a single path, there now seem to be two. One is the journey everyone believes the spacecraft is taking. The other is the journey it may actually be taking. Mars grows larger with every passing week. The planet that once appeared as a distant point of light begins filling navigation displays. Preparations for arrival accelerate. Teams focus on orbit insertion, the critical maneuver that will allow the spacecraft to be captured by Mars rather than fly past it. The mission is approaching its destination. Confidence arrives with it. From the outside, nothing suggests a crisis. Communication remains stable. Operations continue. The spacecraft appears to be doing exactly what it was designed to do. The growing discrepancy feels less important than the approaching success. Then Mars finally fills the frame. Orbit insertion begins. The spacecraft disappears. A signal that had traveled faithfully across space suddenly stops arriving. Controllers wait. Nothing returns. The mission is gone. The most obvious explanation arrives quickly. A navigation error. Somehow the spacecraft approached Mars on the wrong path. It traveled too low, entered a dangerous region of the atmosphere, and was destroyed. The explanation feels complete because it matches the visible outcome. Bad navigation leads to a bad trajectory. A bad trajectory leads to a lost spacecraft. The story appears finished, until a different question begins to emerge. If the navigation error was large enough to destroy the mission, why did nobody see it earlier? The spacecraft did not leap suddenly off course. It traveled for months. Its position was tracked repeatedly. Calculations were updated. Corrections were performed. Multiple systems handled information connected to the spacecraft's trajectory. The error survived every stage. Investigators begin reconstructing the journey. They compare calculations. They retrace decisions. They follow the path information took through the mission. Eventually, they find a mismatch hidden inside the navigation process. One part of the system produced information using one set of measurement assumptions. Another part expected something different. The contradiction was small enough to hide, large enough to matter. The discovery appears to solve the mystery. A unit mismatch. A technical mistake. A calculation problem. Again, the explanation feels complete. The audience finally has a cause. The spacecraft was lost because incompatible assumptions entered the navigation system. Except the investigation is not finished, because the mismatch explains how the error began. It does not explain how the error survived. The same question remains. Why wasn't it caught? The trajectory was reviewed. The data was processed. The mission was monitored. The systems designed to ensure accuracy remained active throughout the journey. Yet the contradiction continued, moving toward Mars. The investigation reveals something more troubling than the original mistake. The mission did not fail because a single calculation existed. It failed because the calculation was trusted. Again and again, information passed through normal operations. Again and again, outputs were accepted because they came from systems that were expected to be reliable. Verification gradually gave way to assumption. Nobody needed the error to be correct. The system only needed people to believe it had already been checked. That is what makes the two trajectories so important. One trajectory belongs to the spacecraft. The other belongs to confidence. At the beginning, they overlap perfectly. As the mission continues, they separate. Reality moves one direction. Belief moves another. The separation remains invisible because the tools used to observe reality depend on the same trusted process carrying the error forward. Each routine update preserves confidence. Each successful operation reinforces it. Each normal day makes it harder to imagine that anything fundamental is wrong. The contradiction survives not by hiding from the system. It survives inside the system. By the time Mars arrives, the distance between reality and confidence has become enormous. Only one of them knows it. When the signal disappears during orbit insertion, the spacecraft is not the first thing that fails. Confidence fails first. The loss of contact merely makes the separation visible. Years later, the mission is often remembered as a story about unit conversion. A technical lesson. A calculation mistake. Yet the investigation points somewhere deeper. Technical errors happen in complex systems. The remarkable part is not that an error existed. The remarkable part is how long it remained protected. How many opportunities passed without exposing it? How many trusted steps carried it forward? The final image returns us to that original navigation screen. A clean line aimed confidently toward Mars. Now another line appears beside it. The two trajectories slowly drift apart as they approach the same planet. One represents where the spacecraft was believed to be. The other represents where it actually was. The spacecraft disappears near Mars. The separation remains. Because the true story of Mars Climate Orbiter is not that a spacecraft was lost. It is that confidence survived longer than reality. And by the time reality finally spoke, the journey was already over.